Are you looking for answers to the unknown? Welcome to Live with medium Lisa Phoenix and step into the magical presence of the metaphysical realm. Lisa will share the wisdom and musings from her own experiences, have intriguing conversations with other mediums and healers, in addition to exploring a wide array of topics and teachings on intuitive and mediumship development. Lisa will be taking your calls and inviting your friends and loved ones in the spirit world to share their stories with us. Raise your awareness as you are reunited on the level of love, and let's go live with medium Lisa Phoenix.
Hello, everybody. Happy Sunday and happy Easter. It's a vibrant and sunny day in Southern California. Welcome to Live with Lisa Phoenix Radio. I'm Lisa Phoenix, your host, a medium and energy intuitive. My show is all about healing, mediumship, and energy management. And my special guest this morning is Tracy Dunblazer, spiritual empath and teacher. We're going to talk about a variety of topics this morning, including resurrection and rebirth. The station is currently working on the call-in features for the show. So for now, if you want to share some of your own challenges or ask questions about your own specific journey, please go to my Facebook page, Lisa Phoenix Live, and post your questions, and we will do our best to address them while we're on the air. If you want further information about the Live with Lisa Phoenix radio show, please visit my page on the OMTimes Radio show site, the OMTimes Radio site, OMTimesRadio.com. That's ONTIMES.com/IOM/hosts, HOSTS/Lisa-Phoenix, PHOENIX. My website is getting an overhaul at the moment, and we'll have the new show info up soon. But if you want to schedule a mediumship and or intuitive guidance appointment with me, please be sure to go to my website, lisaphoenix.net. That's LISAPHOENIX.net, or email me directly at info@lisaphoenix.net, and we can work out the details. Again, I'd love it if you go to my website, lisaphoenix.net, and sign up for my Intuitive Insights newsletter, which will also add you to my mailing list. And please like me on Facebook at Lisa Phoenix Live. Now, let's talk about Tracy. Tracy Dunblazer, GCC, CCDC, spiritual empath, shaman, educator, and spiritual counselor, is based in Los Angeles, California. Tracy specializes in grief counseling, energy dynamics, intuitive counseling, shamanic healing, space clearings, past life regression, soul recovery, and transition strategy. In 2005, Tracy founded It's Time to offer resources, education, and strategies for other practitioners, as well as those just embarking on the spiritual path. Tracy's website is www.tracydunblazer.com. That's TRACEDUNBLAZIER.com, which I suggest you finish to get a better picture of what this amazing woman is all about. Tracy, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I am wonderful. It is a beautiful Easter morning.
It is.
For everybody who participates in that.
Yes. In fact, because it's funny, the show is kind of out more in the Midwest, East Coast region. So we're in the morning. They're in the afternoon.
Oh, that's true. It would be 1 o'clock there.
Yeah. So it's all kinds of crazy, but but fun nevertheless.
Nevertheless.
So Tracy, before we get into the meat of our discussion today, I'd love it if you would care to share with us all. Well, first, I want you to tell everybody, what is your Facebook page where people
my
can
Facebook
go?
page is, of course, www.facebook.com/pages/Tracy Dunblazer Spiritual Empath.
Perfect.
So if you just look up Tracy Dunblazer Spiritual Empath, I'll come up.
Awesome. And so can you tell our listeners maybe a little bit about yourself, how you started on your journey and all that kind of good stuff?
Absolutely. Well, I was definitely
Let me interrupt you for 1 second.
Sure.
And what it is, the journey that you are on is all about too. The journey itself. I forgot to mention that. So go for it.
Okay, so the question is...
I confused you. I'm so sorry. I'm like, tell us how you embarked on your journey, but I didn't say, well, and also tell us what it is you do and what you're all about.
Indeed. Well, I am all of the clairs. I'm, psychic, clairsentient, clairaudient, clairvoyant.
Mm-hmm.
I do shamanic healing. I'm a Reiki master teacher, and I specialize in really focusing on a person, like the origin of whatever either issue or desire for transition that they have. If I specialize in relationship dynamics and transition strategy, and that kind of incorporates everything.
Gotcha.
I myself have grown up being psychic. I had a lot of paranormal experiences, witnessing entities, witnessing energies from demonic realms, and really being witness to a lot of the energetic, there's something that I want to call it, just sludge that exists. And so I've always had a vision for that sort of thing, and that's been really my focus in learning. I also do a lot of past life work, which really can help a person to understand, why they are who they are from the beginning of this life. There's who our spirit comes in as, and then there is how that energy is nurtured in the world, which is from our parents or our family unit, and our environment. So that's kind of how I got started doing what I do. I've been doing it professionally for over 20 years. Before that, it was definitely something that I kept secret,
Yeah.
And I think intrinsically I don't know that it's necessarily true, but I definitely felt like it was best to keep, what I witnessed under wraps so that people wouldn't think I was crazy, because I wasn't interested in any of that.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So that's kind of, what I do. And right now my focus is really to help people be where they're at fully and just embrace that. If you've had trauma, if you've had experiences in your life that are impeding you in any way, to address those directly and really deal with, not only the trauma, but oftentimes for people, it's the fallout. It's every decision that you made after your traumatic experience that leads you to the place that you're at today. So, that can also be, it's not just looking at the shadow side of yourself, but it's also looking at all of your gifts and all of the intrinsic abilities that you came into life with and how you can use them in a way that brings you joy every day,
Wonderful. And you're also an author, right?
I am. I have a blog. I write relationship advice for a website. It's a online dating website called meetmindful.com.
Mm-hmm.
I write, of course, for tracydunblazer.com, and I'm working on a book that's going to be out in September called 10 Things You Need to Know to Be a Demon Slayer.
Wow.
So that's very exciting. And I just signed a contract for another book that's going to be out in December. And that is called The Seeker's Guide to Dating and New Relationships.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So there's a lot coming down the turnpike here.
Well, I think that's wonderful. And we actually are going to be talking about, you had posted an article and about, I believe it's from the book, is it not? Because it references the book.
No, it is not from the book, but some of the The quote is taken from the book.
Okay, yeah. Okay, perfect.
Yes, the quote is definitely taken from the book, and we do talk about this subject.
Great. And so I do want to hear just like, how did your journey begin into all this? I mean, aside from like when you really started to kind of step into the nuts and bolts of it, you know?
Are you talking about the book? What do you?
No, actually, I was talking about your journey.
Well, like I said, it's something that has always been who I am. It's always been inside of me. And there's never really been anything like I've never seen it as separate, you know? Mm-hmm. So I did, I think, have an early awareness that other people didn't think or experience things as I did. And I was always pretty clear on that. And so that was fine. That was part of the reason why I really didn't start sharing things until I was, I had maybe one friend that I could share things with out of high school. And then when I was 30, I started to openly share it a little more. And that's how I had within 6 months, I had an immediate career change.
Gotcha.
Into from doing marketing and PR and sales stuff to doing this work. And
which I think is wonderful. Yeah. And that's actually the transition I was referring to.
Yes.
Now, when you were growing up and you had these gifts, were your parents supportive of them, or did you just not tell them about them?
Both. It's interesting. I grew up in a very non-religious family. My father was atheist, and both of my sisters were atheist and agnostic. My mom loved church. I was born and baptized into the Methodist church, and we went to church on occasion, but I really enjoyed church. So I went to every different kind of church that there was with all the different friends that I had and all the different religions that they participated in. I would go to church with other people. And
gotcha. Tracy, forgive me for 1 second, but they're calling us for a commercial break.
Great.
So I'd love to pick up with this when we come back. So
Absolutely.
Stay tuned with us, Radio Land, and we'll be back in a moment.
The cutting edge of conscious radio. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
The truth is, you can't change the world if you're broke. I know. I tried. Isn't it time you turned your life's calling into a profitable, freedom-based business? I'm Michelle Barr. Join me every Thursday at 2 p.m. Eastern for Sacred Success.
Host your show on IOM FM, the radio network of OMTimes Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of OMTimes. Hosting a show on IOM FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community. As difficult as it is to believe, there are places in Africa where human traffickers sell albino children and their body parts for use in magic rituals. Humanity Healing International is actively working in Uganda to change this paradigm. The Albino Rescue Project finds albino children who are at risk and places them in safe schools and environments where they can learn and grow free from fear. To learn more or to sponsor a child, visit humanityhealing.org. Humanity Healing is where your heart is.
Have you bought into the idea that you have to work hard for your money, that business is hard? I will share some dynamic access consciousness tools to get you out of your own way so you can create a business that actually succeeds. Join me, Simone Millisers, on The Joy of Business at 4 p.m. Mondays Eastern.
A conscious lifestyle for a mindful life. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Welcome back to the Live with Lisa Phoenix radio show on OMTimes Radio, and my special guest, Tracy Dunblazer. Tracy, I'm sorry, I try to gauge that right, but sometimes it just cuts it off, so I apologize.
It's all good.
If you wouldn't mind continuing.
No, absolutely. And believe it or not, I actually remember exactly where we were. So, the way that my father really supported me, he was a very philosophical person, and definitely he was a good-hearted human being, and he believed in definitely a lot of metaphysical principles. And he was never interested in going to church, but he always gave me 2 dimes to put into the offering plate. Every Sunday I'd go and get my 2 dimes from him and be off to whatever church I was going to. And I don't remember if he died when I was very young, so I don't really remember, but I know on Sunday nights, I want to say that it was Art Bell, maybe, or there was another guy back from the 60s and 70s that was one of the first metaphysical practitioners, people to have a radio show. And it was Sunday nights at 9:00. And I know that every Sunday night he'd listen to that faithfully. Mm-hmm. My mom always gave me space. That was the one thing that I appreciated, is I didn't have any ideologies put on me, because I was very clear about who I was in regards to that. And I think that if I'd had people around me to try to put on me their beliefs, that would have created conflict for me. So,
Gotcha. Wow. That's wonderful, though, to kind of have that kind of support, Absolutely. Now, I want to go, I want to read a quote from your book, which we spoke of earlier. And because I just love this quote, Tracy. So I want everybody to hear it.
Wonderful.
The death of your dream is surely the birth of a richer, clearer, more intensely colored quantum leap forward into the manifestation of your most complete vision. And it's from your book, 10 Things You Need to Know to Be a Demon Slayer. So,
yes, ma'am.
Do you want to kind of expand on that a little bit?
Sure. I think that I've done a lot of praying, meditating, contemplating the idea of hope and the idea of hopeless. Mm-hmm. And it occurred to me one day that, when we are in hope of something, it's something that is always outside of us. We don't yet have it. We hope to have it. We have hope for it. We hope that it exists somewhere, but we're not there yet.
Right.
And so then the idea of being hopeless really is more the indication that you have arrived where you were seeking to go back when you had hope. and so that's what I mean by this quote, is that when you let go of your hopes and your dreams, and you start taking the actual steps that leads you to those things, in order to be a millionaire, you've got to have a job.
Right.
Or a hustle. I mean, and a hustle is a job. You've got to do something that creates a result in the physical world, which is money. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't matter how small that begins. You've got to be in it fully and be fully committed to it. Right. And once you take that step from sitting outside and looking at the possibilities to stepping into it, no matter how small that first step is, stepping into it gives you the opportunity to manifest it fully, because you're in it and you can impact it fully.
Correct.
Right?
And yes. And a lot of times, people, it's hard for people because they see resurrection or coming around and beginning new things as kind of unattainable sometimes. And I know that you really believe in understanding how our spirit works. So can you kind of share a little bit about that with us?
Absolutely. So, an idea, right, it's in energy form.
Right.
And so we spend a lot of time, witnessing our thoughts, our ideas, our feelings about those thoughts and ideas. And then eventually it's through our feelings that we are moved in the physical world to take some sort of action that brings us a result. And that's the entire process, is the intention to get something, the idea that springs from that, the emotions that are attached to it, whether or not they're positive or negative, whether or not they're obstructive or flowing is irrelevant, that you have some sort of emotional attachment to whatever the idea is, and then you work through that, And then that leads you to whatever actions you take to manifest that idea. So that process is the same for anybody, no matter who you are, no matter the circumstances that you come from. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
And embracing that, I think a lot of people get caught up in the idea phase or the emotional phase. The emotional phase would be, nobody in my family has ever been a millionaire. There's no way I could ever be a millionaire, or I'm just not, I'm not really good with numbers. It was very interesting. I was watching a TV show. It was one of those hilarious, couponing reality shows where the lady went into the store and bought like $1,200 or $1,300 worth of product. And because of all the coupons that she had, they ended up having to pay her $150.
Oh my gosh. Really?
But interestingly enough, like that was her accomplishment. But about 20 times in the show, she said, "Oh, I'm just awful with numbers. I'm really nervous here. I'm just not good with numbers." And I thought to myself, hey, obviously you're good with numbers because you were able to accomplish this thing.
Right.
And so we have a lot of beliefs about ourselves that aren't true, and the evidence of them shows that if we will pay attention to it. But sometimes we're not comfortable in what we are good at, what our strengths are. A lot of people, when you're confident about who you are and what you do, people think that you're haughty or stuck up or arrogant.
Right.
I have a long time joke in my practice. When I first started doing this business, I would see ads that psychics would put in, whatever local magazine, and they would advertise their accuracy rate.
Uh-huh.
One lady had a 97% accuracy rate, and then another lady had like an 86% accuracy rate. And at least 5 or 6 out of the 10 ads had accuracy rates. And I thought, first of all, why would you advertise that unless you're going to advertise 100% accuracy? Right? Because I'm certainly going to pick the 97%er over the 86%er.
Right.
And so I have a joke with all of my clients that, well, I'm 100% accurate. And if you don't know it, then you just haven't found out yet.
Gotcha.
Right?
Yes.
Because information is information, and information comes to you, and then you perceive it in whatever way you do. And so part of your spiritual journey is about reconciling the best form of that information to be able to manifest in the physical world. Right? So if you have ideas, beliefs, or strategies that don't match with what the idea is, like it doesn't make it ready for manifestation, it can't be created based on how you think about it, then that's where you spend your time, is in the idea and emotional phase, attaching or detaching to certain ideas or concepts so that you can then have the courage, confidence, or whatever it is that you need to step forward in taking that risk.
Agreed. Yes. And then a lot of people don't realize, because things will happen around them, maybe things that, are challenging. And so a lot of times people don't recognize the potential there for resurrection and rebirth. Wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. The 3 points that I really focus on, especially in this article about resurrection and rebirth, your big comeback, is that spirit is limitless in its possibility, joyous in its vigor, and accessible 100% of the time.
Yes.
Spirit is never sad, and it is never slow or confused, right? And energy is energy. We always have access 100% of the time to whatever energy that we need, and anything that we put on it, i.e. confusion or confidence, is what we own, is what our part in it is.
Right. Yes. Go ahead. Sorry about that.
No, that's okay.
No, I was just thinking too, because it's also true that, we ask so much, oh, help us, guide us, whatever. But spirit is actually downloading us information constantly.
Absolutely.
When you say it's
yes.
Yes. So I definitely am in agreement to you. It's just sometimes hard hearing it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. No, I think that we have access. Like if we'll pay attention to the daily, signs of our environment, each thing will clue us in. Like the other day, I was smack in the middle of a conversation with somebody, and all of a sudden I heard about 10 birds chirping, and it just took my attention right out of what she was saying to that.
Uh-huh.
And, I'm slightly one of those people that, pretty shiny things. Right. I'm a little bit like that. I'm not going to lie. But this was quite profound to me. And the fact that there were so many birds chirping all at once when it wasn't really the hour for that was potent for me. And it really, I appreciated, I enjoyed it. And it stuck with me as something valuable, that being open to that then leads to, I think, all kinds of other information. If you're open to it,
right.
Like allowing your attention to be drawn to something that is not usual or average in your daily experience allows the rest of your mind to be open then to not only new information, but new ways of interpreting old information.
Exactly. And that's one of the reasons. And I'm just warning you now, we're coming up to a commercial break really
Excellent.
soon. But that is one of the reasons why I think it's so important, even with the busy time that we are in now, to slow down so we can see some of these. Because if you're going at 50 miles an hour in your everyday life, you can't help but miss a lot of these signs and symbols and things that are going on around you, don't you think?
Absolutely. Well, I think I don't know that I think our consciousness clues into everything, but we are so used to naturally rerouting it.
Right.
In order to stay focused.
Yeah.
On whatever. And sometimes it's, to stay focused on, what losers we are, or whatever your negative thought is about yourself. So
right. Now we're breaking for another commercial. Stay tuned. You're on the Live with Lisa Phoenix show and OMTimes Radio. We'll be right back.
Conscious media for conscious minds. OMTimes.
Do you have time to read that inspiring book or that blog post you've been meaning to get to? In your busy world, how do you improve yourself and keep your life going? I'm Lisa Kay, and my Between Heaven and Earth radio show can transform your life just by listening. Be uplifted with inspiring topics, positive stories, and ideas that really work. Between Heaven and Earth Radio is conscious living for your soul every Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time.
Being a radio host on IOM-FM allows you to build your show on a rich platform with the power of the Internet to fulfill your outreach goals and connect with a very specialized and global online audience, unlimited by time and distance. OMTimes Radio will provide you with web relevance, a recognizable conscious brand, and with the standard of excellence that has accompanied every single OMTimes endeavor. Host your show with OMTimes Radio Network. Are you trying to get from point A to point B and need a little advice? Connect with the counselors at OMTimes Advisors. Whether you're looking for a life coach or a spiritual intuitive, the advisors participating at advisors.omtimes.com were carefully chosen based on their gifts, skills, and professionalism. OMTimes Advisors, connecting you with the best advisors in the business.
Radio Namaste leads you down the yellow brick road into portals of consciousness with the blue-collar goddess as your host. Interviews with humans who could be famous or just popular, and answers to everything are on the agenda. Tune into OMTimes Radio and drop in on Thursdays at 3 Eastern. It's a different brand of enlightenment.
Your conscious lifestyle on steroids. OMTimes Radio. IOM-FM.
Welcome back, everybody. You're listening to Live with Lisa Phoenix on the OMTimes Radio Network with my special guest, Tracy Dunblazer.
Business.
Tracy.
Hello.
Hi.
Yellow Brick Road into portals.
There's still an ad playing on my side.
I know, and this is a quirk. So let's just talk through it. At least it's not really loud.
Okay. That's hilarious. There we go.
Conscious lifestyle.
No.
Steroids.
All right. Anyway, so Tracy. Okay, so.
Welcome back, everybody. You're listening to Live on the OMTimes Radio Network with my special guest, Tracy Dunblazer.
Business.
Tracy.
Hello.
This is a little crazy.
Hi.
Yellow Brick Road into portals.
There's still an ad playing on my side.
I know. And
we have problems here.
let's just talk through it. At least it's not really loud.
Okay. That's hilarious. There you go.
Conscious lifestyle.
No.
Steroids.
All right. Anyway, so Tracy.
Yes.
Okay.
Are you there, actually? It looks like we're on.
Yes, I am here.
It looks like we're on a spin or something. I don't know what has happened.
My special guest, Dunblazer.
I will see if I can.
Hi, this is a little crazy.
There's still an ad playing on my side.
I know.
We have problems here.
Let's just talk through it. At least it's not really loud.
Okay. That's hilarious. There you go.
No. All right. Anyway, so Tracy.
Yes.
Okay. Are you there? Actually,
I am right here.
I am here. It looks like we're on a spin or something. I don't know what has happened.
Yeah, this is fascinating.
I will see if I can. Hi, this is a little crazy. We have problems here. Let's just talk through it. At least it's not really loud. All right. Anyway.
So, Tracy?
Yes.
Let's just ignore everything that's going on and move forward. So if we talk, it'll dim out in the background. So let's just, can you continue talking to us maybe about, I wanted to talk about limitless possibilities. Can you expand on that for us?
Absolutely. People, what you can do and what you attract is based on what you believe that you can do and what you can attract. So the whole the process is.
So, Tracy?
Yes.
Let's just ignore everything that's.
Oh, it's re-looping. Just keep talking, Trace.
So,
Okay.
If we talk,
So
dim out
go continue on,
okay.
and we're going to really focus on
us maybe about.
No.
I wanted to talk about limitless possibilities.
No.
Can you expand on that for us?
Absolutely. So people, what you can do and what you attract is based on what you believe that you can do and what you can attract. So the process is. Yeah.
Oh, it's re-looping. Just keep talking, Trace.
Okay. So it's funny. I don't know what this is a great metaphor of what it's like when you're trying to manifest something. These are all the voices going on in your head, and they're looping, and they're saying the same thing over and over again, and then eventually you don't know which one is real.
So
you don't know what is coming down the pike, or what's the past, or what's the present.
Right,
So
and that's the thing, and it's also a good meditative thing because
yes,
to try to just blow through it,
Yes.
But so yeah. So what do you see as, let's talk about limitless possibilities and how our minds
learning to participate in mindful meditation helps you to clear your mind of all of the different, or not even just clear your mind, but to become present to all the different ideas that are going through your head about what you want and who you are. Mindful meditation is specifically, it's not regular, it's not like other...
And it's also a good meditative thing because to try to just
keep going.
No?
Yes.
But so, yeah. So
Goodness.
what do you see as, let's talk about limitless possibilities and how our minds
learning to participate in mindful meditation helps you to clear your mind of all of the different, or not even just clear your mind, but to become present to all the different ideas that are going through your head about what you want and who you are. Mindful meditation is specifically, it's not regular, it's not like other...
And it's also a good meditative thing.
Hey, Tracy.
Keep going.
Do you by any chance have the actual show?
Oh, let me, I don't think so, but let me look.
Let's talk about limitless
Aha.
Oh, interesting.
What happened?
I'm so sorry.
Okay. Did you hit it on something?
Well, I pulled up the page so that I could have the proper thing to put online for people to tune in and listen. But I did not pull up the actual station. I didn't figure out how to get to the station. I just pulled up the page.
Gotcha. Well, that's okay. So we're learning, and everyone out in Radio Land. Yes. So, but wow, that's really amazing about how the chatter of our mind works. You know, it was such a brilliant replication of that, huh?
Because that is exactly how it is. And sometimes, it's funny, my experience is that I thought I was talking to you, and then all of a sudden you'd say the same thing that you just said in the exact same way you said it. And I was like, okay, that's not her. That's the recording. Okay.
I know. And now let's see what is real. Let's figure out what's really me and what's the chatter in my head. You know?
Exactly. But, oh my goodness. That was awesome. So, it's interesting. One of the things that I was writing this morning was exactly about, when we interact with people, when we're seeking to really resurrect ourselves, part of that is that we have to acknowledge and accept some of the past trauma, or experiences that we've had in our life, that, we have to walk through it with a different lens. We have to walk through it and perceive it differently, either through grief, right? The grieving process where we really process out the deep, painful emotions that come with whatever trauma we've experienced. In addition to sometimes the frustrations and aggravations that we experience, with ourselves, our beliefs about ourselves. That's the next, once the pain is gone, then we have to deal with what are our real true thoughts about ourselves and what our capabilities are, or who we are, or what we deserve, any one of those things.
Right. Yeah, no, I do. And so, the biggest thing is how we kind of put up these stops and these roadblocks. I love how you say that access is always granted to us,
Absolutely. If you can think it, you can be it. And, I know that that's totally one of those, cheesy new age taglines, which I love, because it's accurate, but it is cheesy, but it's true. One of the things that I began in all that minutia was to speak about mindful meditation, which is a really wonderful and unique expression of meditation. Most of the time people go into the idea of meditating to clear their mind, to clear out and become empty. And mindful meditation is about, no, I'm full and I'm just going to look at what's in there. And so you can mindfully meditate while you're washing the dishes or taking a walk or, washing the dog or whatever daily activities that you do, that you become mindful and pay attention to every thought that moves through your mind. You acknowledge any emotion that comes up. You allow it to come up and flow through you and continue moving. As you allow the thoughts to come in, acknowledge them, and you allow them to keep moving. And the more that you do that, the more, for lack of a better way to say this, you become familiar with the information, and then you become desensitized to it. It no longer has the deep, impactful emotional meaning that it has had or held on you before.
Right.
And the more you can do that, the more you are comfortable in the skin you're in right now, not the one you want to be in 10 days from now, but right now where you're at, the more comfortable you are here and the more you accept exactly where you are here, the more that you have access to exactly play by play every step that you need to take in order to move forward out of this place.
Right. And, I think that that's sometimes a really challenging thing for people, because when those thoughts come up, they scare us. And so automatically the first reaction is to try to push those away instead of letting them flow through. Don't you think?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that's that. So when if somebody, right now I'm running a grief support group for a bunch of middle school children.
Yes.
And one of, they are not very comfortable with their emotions in relationship to the deaths that have occurred in their lives. And so when they're talking about them, they try to stuff it down, or they don't want to speak at all because they know if they say something, that just opening that channel to speak is going to bring the emotion that comes with it.
Right.
And many of the children have beliefs about, how appropriate it is to experience grief, to cry, and especially in front of other people. There are a lot of cultures out there who perceive grief as weakness. There are even cultures out there who experience grief in regards to death as if the grief is going to keep the person who has died, keep their spirit earthbound.
Right. Tracy,
yes.
Hold that thought. We're going to try this one more time. Make sure that player is not on.
I'm staying away from
And we'll
it.
be right back. You're listening to Live with Lisa Phoenix on OMTimes Radio. We'll be right back.
Free your mind. Expand your soul. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Hi, this is Sylvia Henderson, intuitive life coach and energy healer. Are you ready to elevate and rise way above your normal? Be sure to listen to my show, Intuitive Transformations, on OMTimes Radio, Sunday evenings at 9 p.m. Eastern. Get the inspiration you need to transform your life.
Host your show on IOM FM, the radio network of OMTimes Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of OMTimes. Hosting a show on IOM FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community. Simone Milasas would like you to know that business can be fun, which is why she wrote the book, Joy of Business. What if you could have the joy of business rather than the stress and struggle? Most of the time, the only thing stopping you from a thriving business is you. In the Joy of Business book, Simone gives you access consciousness tools and pragmatic ways to get out of your own way and to create the business, life, and living you know is possible and beyond what this reality says is achievable. Business is joy. It's creation. It's generative. It can be the adventure of living. You can purchase your copy of the book through Amazon or Joy of Business website, www.accessjoyofbusiness.com.
What if living didn't have to be so serious?
What if you could move beyond your problems with greater confidence and ease than you've ever imagined?
Throw your labels out the window and join the Irreverent Therapist for practical tips and a very different way of approaching the changes you would like to create.
Marilyn Bradford
and Pam Hodling
have empowered hundreds of people to come out of self-judgment, quit looking to experts, and begin to create the lives they desire.
Join us Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern on the Irreverent Therapist Show.
Your conscious connection to a more mindful world. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Welcome back, everybody. You're live with Lisa Phoenix and my special guest, Tracy Dunblazer on the OMTimes Network. Tracy, I was thinking, I find that fascinating that you're doing some grief counseling with children at such a young age. I think it's wonderful, but I also am noting how in a lot of ways they've already been shaped by their quote unquote family or cultures into believing various things.
Absolutely. That's, it's interesting. These kids are from 10 to 14 and, they, in the American culture, we don't really like to deal with death for the most part. If somebody's dying, we want to put them in a hospice somewhere. Oftentimes we let people die in hospitals and in hospice, and oftentimes it's uncomfortable for families to even allow a dying person to have their death at home.
Right.
Where they lived
for
as long as they've lived. And
same thing with animals too,
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think it's fascinating for starters, but one of my real missions as far as, who I am and what I do, and I know that you know this too, when you work with people and you really recognize that once they die here on this plane, their energy and their spirit really does go to another plane through which we can communicate with them.
Right.
And so while, there is a very real process of death, dying, and the grief that comes to transition us from how we experience them in a body to how we experience them in spirit, but that they really do move on to spirit, and that we can have a new type of relationship with them sometimes, and then sometimes not at all. Sometimes people do move on from any further connection.
Right.
But love is always the connector. And, it's my goal. It's really important for us, I think, to find some sort of common ground and understanding, regardless of what culture, religion, or experience that you come from, and the only way we're going to get that is the willingness to talk about it. And then I say all of that to, when we talk to these kids, it's all in the public schools. And when we talk to these kids, it's really to give them the opportunity to talk about something that really it's difficult for a lot of people a lot of the adults in their lives to talk about it. So how can it not be difficult for them to talk about it?
Right. And at those younger ages, they're really just copying what the adults around them are doing. So I think this is amazing that you're doing this. And I also think it's amazing for the kids because it gives them an earlier shot at healing. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I remember, I have very distinct memory from when my father died. And I knew almost 2 years, he was already sick when I energetically and intuitively understood that he was going to die. And I remember there was a moment where it all became clear to me that was what was going to happen, and I cried about it. And then I tuned it out. I did not look back from that moment. And then when my parents told us that Dad was sick and that he died maybe 2 months after that, I remember going to the funeral and giggling when I saw my friends, because I was showing them my new dress that I got to wear to the funeral.
Uh-huh.
And there was no part, we didn't speak about our emotions in my family. My mom did not tell us that our dad had died. He had died in the hospital, and it was one of my mom's friends that came to tell the kids, which is an average experience. A lot of times there is just not the relationship even between parent and children, and especially in that kind of a situation, So
right.
I remember exactly how I compartmentalized things at that age, but I also know because of that, I carried a torch for him and my relationship to him, that wasn't real for a decade at least, and only a decade because I wanted to work on it. I wanted to talk about it, and I wanted to resolve my relationship with my mom and, whatever. But there's so many ramifications to how we naturally will allow it to be set up if we do nothing or say nothing.
Exactly. No, and I that's one of the reasons why I like the Eastern tradition so much, where there's a process of honoring the departed and honoring their passing, which I really love, and I feel that us here over in the States, we could, if we kind of incorporated more of that into what we do, I think it would just be awesome. And I think it would help in the healing process and in the grief process, you know?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
We have to, I mean, we've got to learn to be more comfortable with understanding that there is actually, like we were just talking about the spiritual process of transition.
Right.
It's the same when you die.
Exactly.
You go through a very specific and distinct process, whether or not it's an accident, whether or not it's a long-time illness, but there's a very distinct end-of-life process that everyone goes through. Right. And it's only in hindsight that we're able to recognize it, you know?
Exactly. And again, I do believe that, although some people do transition on or whatever, I really do believe that to some extent we all do have access to those who have departed, and who have crossed over. And again, usually if you're feeling that the connection is still there, it is. You know what I mean?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And I completely agree with that. And one of the things that I've learned from not only grieving many, many people myself, but witnessing people grieving is that sometimes directly after the death, people in their grief process sometimes can't access or acknowledge the person and their energy. And I'm sure you find this too, that a lot of times directly after the death, even up to a few years after the death, the person is in such grief that the person who has died is trying to communicate, but the person who is left behind isn't able to open up to that.
Oh, of course, all the time. But on the other hand, too, yeah, I've seen it happen all ways. I mean, there's that, and then there's other times where they just show up like seconds afterwards. But I also wanted to step back a minute because, a lot of times it's we need to go through our grief when someone passes, but also on the other hand, if we incorporated if somebody who has an illness or somebody who there's quite a process, I think it's an amazing thing to kind of participate in that with them, even though we're grieving and they're probably grieving, because, as you said earlier, I really think that during that process of transition, when somebody is passing, I think part of that transitional process is to kind of honor the life that they are living and have lived,
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like if we just completely shut ourselves off to them because of our own grieving, I think in some ways that's kind of making it about us and not about them. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely. And the truth is that grief is about us and it isn't about them. They're free. They're good.
Right.
But, it definitely should, like when we have memorials or funerals, it's, I know that in ritual, the idea is that that the goal is to make sure that spirit is ascended to its oversoul, to going to where it needs to go in order to reincarnate or go on to its next thing. Now, truly, the memorial or the funeral is really about the people who are left behind, who are grieving, who are having to say goodbye and to let go of how they lived with the person and what that person meant to them. And like in terms of these kids, like some of these kids have experiences that were really quite tumultuous and they didn't really have a relationship with the parent
Right.
And so they're having to grieve the lack of relationship and then the loss. You know what I mean? So sometimes grief can be really complicated, and therefore your focus goes to that.
Right. However, I was actually talking about before they actually pass. Do you know that time when they're still here and they're involved in that transition? I know a lot of people kind of shut it off, or, I've had people who, they don't go see people because they can't handle it. That's what I mean, that kind of thing. I feel that if we tried to open ourselves up a little bit more, we could participate in that process of honoring that person.
I agree. And I think that one thing, when somebody's actually in the process of grief, like when the death is happening or has happened, is not the time to, you're not really able to deal with that consciousness of it. So now, like you and I are having this conversation, and now would be a great time for people to take a minute and really think about their own mortality and to think about the people close to them. And, what would you want to say to the people in your life that you love dearly? What would you want to say to them before they died? Take time when you're not in that grief situation or you're not in the middle of the loss to really talk to yourself about, making sure that every person in your life really knows who you are and how you feel about them.
Perfect.
Your value of them.
And Tracy, our show, it's time. The time's up. Thank you so much for being here today. And as I mentioned earlier, to all of you out there in Radio Land, please visit Tracy's website, www.tracydunblazer.com. That's TRACEDUNBLAZIER.com. I want to once again thank all you listeners out there for hanging out with us today. If you want further information about Live with Lisa Phoenix, go to the OMTimes.com